Right lads, welcome to episode 2 of DA Talk, where I bring up points and ask you questions regarding things that I think are important to do with the pars from this week really. The first point I wanted to bring up was the emergence of the midfield in the last few months, as obviously with the poor run of form that we were on from October but all the way back to August, the main problem that Pars fans were finding was that the link in between the midfield and the strikers and the cover that the midfield was providing to the defence wasn't enough, and that teams coming to either Easton Park or when we were going to play teams at their ground, that their team was kind of finding it so easy to just drift past their midfield, and it was kind of non-existent. And to suddenly turn that around in the space of just obviously from basically all the runs went from around November 15th-ish, after the Dundee United game, that was when we really started to kick on, and so ever since then we've suddenly found this link that the midfield has, where we can now find that pass into the strikers, we can now cover for the centre halves and make those vital tackles that are needed, where we're seeing players like Nat Wedderburn coming in now and having a fantastic role to play in games like just past there at Ayr and against straight throwers as well, where he's getting back and putting in those tackles and getting the ball and then creating an opening from it and putting us on the break or starting an attack for us and spreading it out wide or something like that. And it's just, I don't know what clicked in the team for that to suddenly start happening, because back in October and beforehand it just never seemed like it was ever going to click. It seemed like there just wasn't the right dynamic there, or maybe wasn't the right players available to do that, but it's worked somehow, and the players just seem to click now. And whether, obviously you've got the record that John Hearn has. I think it's something like, without John Hearn we've played 10 games and we've won once, I think it's drawn 2 and lost 7, and the games with him I think it's like 1-7, drew twice, lost once. So if you're a stats kind of person, then it's definitely something to do with John Hearn being a part of the midfield, and then therefore Andy Geoghegan being out of the midfield, because for the majority of John Hearn's period we've now seen Andy Geoghegan be put back to right back, and one appearance on the bench, but he never tends to get benched for a hell of a long time. It's usually only one game and then he gets brought back into the team, whether that be in midfield or at right back, where he's been more deployed recently. But definitely I feel that, as I've said before, that John Hearn is a very influential player to our team, and it's vital that we keep him, which has already been kind of approved by AJ, that we're definitely looking to keep him, because he said that the deal for John Hearn's extended loan period should be finalised this week. I'd prefer to keep him permanently, because I feel like teams will start to notice that his record playing in the team is improving us as a team. So in the summer you might have other options, better options, maybe in the top tier in this country, or maybe another option down in England, where you're obviously going to be looking at that more than Scotland. But who knows, he might end up signing with us permanently in the summer, and we might just have to extend his loan deal because he's still under contract at Blackpool. I'm not entirely sure how, when his deal ends at Blackpool, but it would definitely be a priority of mine if I was the manager. I would certainly be looking to keep John Hearn and make him a kind of build your team around him, because he's obviously a big player for us and makes the team click whenever he's in it, and without him we're a completely different unit. So the next thing I wanted to actually come on to was, obviously we signed Callum Morris just before the start of January there, and he was brought in on the basis of that whilst we were improving defensively, the fans still felt, well, the fans and the management obviously, still felt that we needed that extra player in there to add a bit of quality or keep us defensively sound, I suppose. But now that we've now had 2 clean sheets in a row, we're 8 games unbeaten, I think that is now, 8 or 9, and how does he now fit in? Does he come into the team straight away, like I've asked last week, you know, with Lewis Martin and Reece McCabe? Does he just come into the team straight away because he was that kind of marquee centre back signing from the SPL, and he'll obviously not be wanting to come here and just sit about? But you've always got the argument of that, well, Lee Ashcroft and Callum Fordyce have kept 2 clean sheets in the last 2 games, and they've been the centre half pairing for the majority of this run we've been on. Perhaps Lewis Martin's been in there from time to time, but we've managed to keep this run of form going with these 2 centre backs in for the majority. So do they have to stay in there now and keep Morris bench warming until there's a mistake made or the form starts to dip a bit, so then Morris comes in to try and invigorate, I think that's the word, reinvigorate the back line? I'm not too sure, to be honest. I feel like Morris is a slight cut above what we have now, but on top of that, I'm quite enjoying having Callum Fordyce back in the team, because I feel like he's that type of player that, because of his injury last season, we didn't get to see the best of him, and I'm sure we would have in the league below last season, because that's obviously above his level. The Championship, I believe, is his level right now. He can obviously, he still has potential, he's still quite young, so he could still improve and become Premiership level even. But for now, I'm quite enjoying him being back in the team, and captain as well. Obviously he's doing all the right things. He's keeping it simple. He's not like, he doesn't do the job of, say, a Ben Richards Everton, where he's kind of that ball playing centre back, where he prefers to, you know, run forward with the ball a bit and get and like spray a pass into the strikers or whatever. He's more of that no nonsense centre half who just lumps it out the park when it's needed, and it is kind of needed in our team, because we do come under pressure from time to time, and you need that lack of nerves in the back line to prove that there's, like, the teams aren't going to get past you. So if you're just kind of, you know, you're doing safety first at all times, then there's never any opportunity for teams to break through you as easy as it was 3 months ago or whatever. So the pairing of Lee Ashcroft and Callum Fordyce is clearly working now. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Obviously I'll actually have a question for the last point I made as well, which will have popped up by now. But using that eye in the top right hand corner, just click it, and I'll leave a few votes there for you guys to answer and have your opinions on. So yeah, that's basically that point. And the third out of my 4 points I've got today is that can we go January unbeaten? Now, I was kind of a bit tentative about putting this one in, because obviously going a full month unbeaten is a bit kind of far-fetched for most teams. Like, I think even teams like, well, Dundee United haven't done it so far this month. But obviously with us being the form team in the division, we're on this run of form now where confidence is breeding right through the team, and the games coming up are looking in our favour for most of them. Like for example, we've passed Wraith, we've passed Ayr, and we've won those 2 games, kept clean sheets. And now we've got St Mirren this weekend, which, going by their run of form and our run of form, on paper it looks like an easy home win. Now I know that you can't take in for granted in this league, it's a competitive league and whatever, but with St Mirren being on the run of form that they're on, and the confidence clearly isn't going right through their team, and on paper I think we have the better players in every position. I see no reason why we can't beat them on Saturday, take 3 points, especially, and then including the Scottish Cup game against Alloa. There's no reason why we can't go there and win. I know we drew in pre-season, but that's a pre-season friendly, and even that would keep an unbeaten run going if we drew there, and then even to play a replay. But as I said, no reason why we can't go there and get through to the next round of the Scottish Cup. And then we've got Dundee United at home at the very end of the month, which is the trickiest tie of the month, I believe. Obviously they're still sitting in second place. I think it's something like 14 points ahead of us, and so they're clearly a better team, but we've, in recent times, in the last 2-3 weeks even, we've seen them crumble away to home against Dumbarton, although I heard it was a pretty fluky goal, but Dumbarton took the 3 points from them, and they've done that twice this season actually. Dundee United have went to Dumbarton and lost 1-0, so, and then also they completely crumbled against Hibs, so that I don't see any reason why we can't give them a good game and put them under a lot of pressure. I know that the last feels like we've played Dundee United about 6 or 7 times this season. I think we've only played them about 4, but even at that, that's so much games for barely even. Well, we were only halfway through the season when we played them that much. But in the previous games, obviously we've not picked up a point, but we went on a great run of form. And as I said, ever since the last Dundee United game, that's when the form started. That's when we started to kick on. So there is really no reason for us to go into that game in the mindset that we did in the previous games. We're now, as I said, confidence, and we're creating chances, we're driving forward more often now, we're picking out the right players to make the moves happen, stuff like that. The link-up play between like players like Michael Moffat and Nicky Clark is working well, so there's no reason why we can't give Dundee United a good game and take the 3 points. Even a draw at home would be acceptable, and that means we have went the full month unbeaten. So I'll leave that up to you as well in a wee vote up there. Can we go this month unbeaten? Because it's a thing that I see as a realistic target, and it would be very nice to go the full month unbeaten and say that, you know, we've basically not lost a game since November 12th, which is staggering. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something on a fans forum, Pie and Bovril, on our thread on there, and it was stating a lot of facts about what had happened since we'd last lost a game, and it was like so many people have been born, so many stars have been created and disappeared in that space of time, and it's kind of funny to put it into perspective how much has actually happened since we last lost the game. So yeah, that's basically all that point was based on, and as I said, have your say in the wee vote up there. And the final point I want to go on to was obviously with the January transfer window currently underway, and obviously we've brought in Morris, and we might be looking at bringing in more players. Nothing's been really confirmed on that front yet, although there is rumours here, there and everywhere, but I'm not really going to get into them because some of them might not be fully true as the norm with transfer rumours in Scottish football. But should we be loaning any players out, is what the question was. And when I'm talking about loaning players out, I'm meaning players like Lewis Spence, who clearly isn't getting enough game time for a young talent. You've got players like Ryan Williamson, who, as far as I know, wasn't injured at the weekend and was just kept out of the squad. And now that Callum Morris is coming in, Williamson couldn't make the bench when we barely had any defensive options on the bench at the weekend. So now we've brought in another defensive option. He's going to find it even harder, surely. And Morris is going to be ahead of Williamson to get on the bench. So I think Williamson could benefit from a time out on loan. Whether we do it or not is here to be seen. I definitely feel like Lewis Spence should be loaned back out, and if he does, then that has to be Brecon City, because it's the only other team that he can play for, because he's played for us this season and he's played for Brecon, and you can only play for 2 teams in the one season. So if he is to be loaned out, then his only destination can be Brecon City, and Darren Dodds seems to be very keen on him, as he's loaned him in twice in 2 seasons. So that one looks likely. If he's loaned out, that looks to be where he could go. Another player that he's obviously having a very frustrating time of it now, and I'm not trying to pick out the guy as, you know, like one of my least favourites or anything like that, but David Hopkirk certainly seems like he should be getting more game time, and he's just not. In my mind, he's just simply not going to get it at Dunfermline at the moment. He's about fourth or fifth choice striker at the moment, and he's about 4th or 5th choice winger as well. So, and obviously he's got his fitness problems, which he's coming back from now, which is understandable. Maybe if he goes back to fitness, he'll find his place on the bench. But we've seen with, as I said, players like Ryan Williamson not even making the squad now, and it just seems like some players are starting to find out that the squad is getting too big, in a sense that they can't find their way in, because even when they impress in the 20s, they're still finding that the quality of the subs bench is too much to be able to even get in there. So that's another thing that I'll leave up to you in this wee poll up in the top corner. Should we be loaning any players out, and if so, go down in the comments and tell me which players you would prefer to see go out on loan. If you have a preferred destination for them to go out on loan, then feel free to leave that there as well. And yeah, that's basically it for this episode of DA Talk, episode number 2. And unfortunately that was where the camera decided to cut out on me and lose battery. So I had to, this is now a new clip where I've now charged my camera battery up, and just to do the outro basically. So that was it for this episode of DA Talk. Please leave all your votes etc in that little I button up in the top right corner, and if you have any other opinions that you want to raise or whatever, use the comments down below for that. And if we can get any type of reaction like we did in the last video, then that would be great, because I think in the last video there was 27 likes and about the same amount of comments, which was great to get a bit of a conversation going and see what you guys think based on what you've heard in the video. What I was going to say was, before the camera cut out, was that thanks for the 2 or 3 people that came up to me at the Ayr game on Saturday and basically thanked me and said that the video content that I was producing was great, and it's good to be able to sit down and watch something else for a change. It's always great to hear that kind of thing, and if in future any's want to come up to me and say, like, you know, well done, whatever, please do, but don't come up and you know, take the mick. I'd prefer it if you just came up to say something nice and, you know, kind of do it to just have a laugh, you know. But yeah, that's all for this episode of Day Talk. Until next time, see you later, guys.